Hi, I'm Flo Whitley in Sandy Hook, Kentucky. I'd like to welcome you to the Keith Whitley Memorial Exhibit.
This suit was worn by Keith on the 1987 Music City News Awards show. The fan club motto, "His music lives on." Keith wore this coat on one of his hee-haw appearances. This leather jacket was worn by Keith for the cover shot on his Hard Act to Follow album. Keith used this leather coat for stage wear during his early RCA days. The blue jacket was worn by Keith when he worked with J.D. Crowe and sang bluegrass. The wall of wardrobe and matching photos. Keith Whitley's records, photos, and personal items. And the show always played. He never let his fans down at showtime. Let's take a closer look at some items. Keith and his first wife, Kathy. The Bible was a gift from Keith's parents, Faye and Elmer, to he and Kathy on their first Christmas together. It contains some family history and their marriage certificate. This is a copy of the Mule Skinner News, Volume 8, Number 1, 1977. Keith was featured on the cover, together with an extensive story and several photos inside. This hat was worn by Keith during his J.D. Crowe era and his early Nashville days. It appears in some Rounder Records promo shots. The Whitley brothers, Keith on guitar and Dwight on banjo. The early bluegrass days of Keith Whitley.
This was Keith's first guitar. It is the guitar that he played on the Buddy Starcher show when he was 8 years old, and there is a snippet from that performance on the Kentucky Bluebird CD. The tux he wore when he played bluegrass as a teenager, it was given to him by a friend, Norma Fannin, who owns a men's clothing store in Columbus, Ohio. And last year when I was preparing for the exhibit, I took the tux down and was brushing it off and opened the pocket, and there is a hair inside the pocket that I believe has to be Keith Whitley's.
A picture is worth 1,000 words. This is a photo taken during a TV show in Hazard, Kentucky, when Keith and Dwight led the Lonesome Mountain Boys. Here is a cover shot from the album My Home Ain't in the Hall of Fame, when Keith was with J.D. Crowe. Keith with Ralph Stanley and the Clinch Mountain Boys.
The Gibson banjo belongs to Keith's brother, Dwight, and he played this banjo on many TV and radio shows when they played together when Keith was a teenager. The blonde guitar is a G&L, and Keith gave it to my son, Michael Keith Whitley, but he never actually got to present it to him. He died before he actually gave it to him, and Lori gave it to him the day of Keith's funeral. The black guitar Keith played on tour for several tours, and then he gave it to my son Michael Keith. And then Michael got the black guitar probably a year before Lori gave him the blonde. It belongs to my son John Dwight Whitley, and I purchased it from Keith about the time he went to Nashville. He needed some extra money, and so he wanted to sell the guitar, and I bought the guitar for John. And shortly after Keith went to Nashville, he called and he wanted to buy it back. And I said, no, but I'll loan it to you. So I loaned the guitar to Keith, and it took me a year to get it back. He used it quite a bit on his tours.
Here's Ralph Stanley, Jack Cook, and Keith Whitley. This photo shows Ricky Skaggs, Ralph Stanley, and Keith Whitley. This was painted by a fan and given to Keith at a festival in 1976. From Keith Whitley Boulevard in Sandy Hook, Kentucky.
This gold record was presented to Keith's mother, Faye, in July after his death. There was a gold record party at RCA, and the entire family was presented with a gold record, and we went to Nashville for the party. This award was presented to Faye, Keith's mother. She was unable to attend the party in celebration of the tribute album Turning Gold, and Dwight accepted the award for her. The Platinum Award was presented to Faye the same night for the Greatest Hits album, and Dwight also accepted that.
This shirt was part of one of Keith's favorite outfits. There's a matching jacket which Keith wore on Austin City Limits. It was also worn by John Dwight Whitley in the Legend and the Man video when he portrayed Keith as the legend. Keith wore these boots when he appeared on Florence Henderson's cooking show.
These motorcycles were used in Keith's video, It Ain't Nothing. My husband Dwight rode this 1964 Harley Davidson in the video, and Keith and Lori rode the 1953. Both these motorcycles are ridden occasionally. They both went on the Keith Whitley Memorial motorcycle ride this June. Dwight rides them occasionally. He doesn't have much time to ride motorcycles these days.
We hope you enjoyed your visit with the Whitleys. We also hope you'll join the fan clubs. Call radio and request Dwight and Keith's records. And visit your local record store and get a copy of the latest albums. Watch for the fan club address, and God bless you.